Okay, so today is April 8th of 2024, and we have a Magic the Gathering Arena announcement for Historic. This is not necessarily going to be about Timeless, but I'll also touch a little bit about Timeless at the end of the video. So, the importance of this arena announcement is actually due to this historic banned list update. So let's take a look. So we have a lot of cards coming in with the next set, which is going to shake up Timeless quite a bit. But obviously, some of these cards are absolutely broken. And in Historic, they probably wanted to ban some of them, pre-ban some of these before they put into Arena. So the cards banned in Historic, we got Force of Vigor, Commandeer, Reanimate, and Mana Drain. I'm a little bit surprised about the Commandeer, but I'll talk a little bit about that in just a bit. And I'm also very surprised more cards aren't banned in Historic. So, first of all, we'll just go through top to bottom here. It looks like they are pretty positive about the Historic metagame so far. They think adding classic cards like Stoneforge Mystic, obviously really powerful card. I thought this was gonna get pre-banned as well because this is going to make Historic Hammer Time incredibly strong. But they're offsetting this by also adding powerful removal spells like a Path to Exile. But adding Path to Exile will also make Stoneforge Mystic decks a little bit better, so there you have it. But here's the weird thing about this. They're adding Surgical Extraction into Historic. This is literally going to kill an archetype in Historic, and that is Kethis. Because if they self-mill and then you see a Kethis, you'll lose the game immediately because this is a free mana card. So I think Kethis is just dead. Like, I don't think it's going to be a functional deck anymore. Just because the deck is just too all in on winning with Kethis. And the fact that this is a 0 mana card and you can just put it into any deck since it's a Phyrexian mana cost. So I think Kethis is just gone now. Yeah, there you have it. And then they go on to saying that one of the things that define Historic's power level is game speed. And we have been cautious of free spells that allow for rapid change in tempo. So to maintain the current game's pace, they want to ban Commandeer and Force of Vigor. Which is strange because is Surgical Extraction not a free spell? But like it's not only a free spell, but this is also warping the format. But to touch a little bit about Commandeer, I actually do think this card is not fun for Historic. And I think it's because in Historic, even though the game's speed is really fast, the decks actually play a lot of 5-mana cards and 4-mana cards. So something like a Teferi, like if opponent plays a Teferi or One Ring, you could steal that for 0 mana. So I do think Commandeer is a little bit too much for Historic. Same goes for Force of Vigor, just a 0 mana card. Like Retrofitter is a lot more popular in Historic compared to Timeless. Just imagine a Force of Vigor blowing up a Retrofitter and a 4/4 on turn 1. It's a very powerful card. And obviously Mana Drain and Reanimates are banned, which makes sense because these are way too powerful. So it makes sense that these are banned in Historic because these are meta-defining, right? Mana Drain and Reanimate. So those are the 4 cards that are pre-banned in Historic format. Like I said, a bit surprised. Like maybe not Stoneforge Mystic because they're also giving Path to Exile. But I'm very surprised that Surgical Extraction is not banned. Like this is going to kill Kethis. It's not a deck anymore. So there you have it. And last thing, even though they said that they don't want free spells in Historic format, obviously they didn't ban Archive Trap because there's no fetch lands in this format. So even though Archive Trap and Surgical Extractions are legal together in Historic format, it's not going to do anything because search effects are rare in Historic format. Okay, so Timeless. While Timeless is still new and developing, we want to let players play with cards before we apply any restrictions or bans to them. Mana Drain is certain to be an impactful addition, so we'll be monitoring how it changes the metagame and we'll take action if it proves to be too much. So important thing to mention if you are not aware, if a Mana Drain, if a card is restricted in Timeless format, they will give you the wildcards back, so it gets restricted, so you can only play 1 copy. They'll give you the difference, and you'll get 3 mythic wildcards back. It looks like they're touching a little bit about show and tell here. While its play rate has been higher than we would like to see, so I think they're talking about best of 1 because I actually don't see too much show and tell in best of 3. Decks using the card currently have consistent win rate when compared with other high-performing archetypes. If Timeless were static, we would strongly consider restricting the show and tell due to its play rate. However, we expect Timeless to change a lot this year with new format defining cards from Outlaws of Thunder Junction and Modern Horizon 3. So I'm actually pretty glad that nothing is getting restricted here. I think if they restrict show and tell, it's just going to kill... It's actually going to kill 2 different decks at the moment. I think, honestly, I think Omnitel is a cool deck. It's just that the best thing to do in Timeless at the moment that is the most degenerate is Omnitel, right? Show and tell into Omniscience. That is the most degenerate thing to do. That's why you see a lot of show and tell. But now that we are getting Reanimate, I think it's going to be a little bit different. I think you're going to see a pretty healthy mix of different decks going around. You're going to see decks with Reanimate. You're going to see decks with Mana Drain. You're going to see a lot of decks with Stoneforge Mystics. And you're also going to see a lot of decks with Surgical Extraction plus some Archive Traps. So there's a lot of degenerate things coming our way, which is going to shake up the format quite a bit. So even though you might hate show and tell decks at the moment, quite a lot of changes coming our way. So I'm glad that they actually didn't get rid of the show and tell here. And especially Modern Horizon 3 that's coming out as well this summer. Insane. Timeless is actually going to be insane. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. I think Historic is going to change a lot. Honestly, I am super excited about Timeless format changing with all the cards that are being added with the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. And I'll be making a lot of decks. And if you're interested, stick around and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye-bye.